Good to have you with us on this Sunday evening. I'm Daniel Che with the latest on this hour. Prime Minister nominee Moon Chang-guk has been under fire for having made many controversial remarks, including those on wartime sexual slavery. He has apologized, but is it too little too late? Our Na Young-kyung starts us off.
I realized I had unintentionally hurt some people with my words. I offer my sincere apologies to those people.
The man in question has bowed to the pressure. At a press conference Sunday, Prime Minister nominee Moon Chang-guk, who is accused of having said things like Japan's colonization of Korea was the will of God, defended himself by saying that his view of history is no different from that of any other Korean, especially when it comes to Japan's wartime sexual slavery.
I've emphasized that Japan needs to make sincere apologies. Japan's wartime sexual slavery is a clear act of a crime against humanity.
As for his comments about Koreans being lazy, he explained he was only trying to point out the faults and wrongdoing of the aristocrats of the Joseon dynasty, which led to Japan's rule of Korea in the early 20th century. Whether his public apology will calm the waters remains to be seen. Ruling Tenri Party floor leader Lee Won-gu says giving Moon a chance to explain himself at a parliamentary hearing is a democratic way of resolving the controversy. But the main opposition, New Politics Alliance for Democracy, is holding firm on its stance that the public has already found Moon inadequate as their prime minister and that he should withdraw his nomination. The presidential office of Cheongwadae is expected to submit a request to the National Assembly on Monday, asking lawmakers to vet the nominee. Once the request is filed, legislators have 20 days to vote on the appointment. Na Hyun-kyung, ARIRANG News.
Prosecutors sought an arrest warrant earlier this Sunday for Yoo Byung-il, the elder brother of the fugitive owner of the Seoul ferry that sank in April and killed hundreds. The elder Yoo is charged with embezzlement and violation of a law that requires real names in property deals. Prosecutors also sought a warrant for one of two senior church followers, believed to have helped the ferry owner avoid capture. The 64-year-old woman, identified by her surname Shin, is charged with helping the owner's flight and violating the real name property transaction law. 8 of the ferry owner's close aides, including his elder brother, will stand trial Monday morning. No new bodies of victims of the Seoul ferry sinking have been found in the past week, leaving the number of missing people at 12. The Bank of Korea will not raise the key interest rate unless the country achieves a growth rate of 4%. Now, this comes from the central bank's governor Lee Ju-yeol. At a dinner with reporters on Friday, Lee made clear that he was not hinting at a possible rate hike when he mentioned in April that it made sense to do so if the economy were recovering. Noting that economic conditions have changed since April, Lee said he will make decisions on the bank's policy direction after seeing the economic indicators next month. When asked about the nominee for Finance Minister Choi Kyung-hwan, the BOK chief said he doesn't know Che personally, adding that the central bank and the finance ministry should accept the fact that they both have different responsibilities and should respect those roles. The government of Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has set up a panel to review the events leading to a historical apology for the forceful mobilization of Korean women as sex slaves. Japan said last week it will announce the result of the review soon. The 1993 Kono statement by Yohei Kono, the chief cabinet secretary at the time, acknowledges that the Japanese army was involved in recruiting women into serving in frontline brothels. Korea has long pressed Japan to address the grievances of victims of Japan's wartime sex slavery by offering a formal apology and providing them with compensation. Japan has refused to do so, saying the issue was resolved by a 1965 treaty. Time is running out for the 54 surviving Korean victims, whose average age is 88. Japan and North Korea have begun to make arrangements for the next round of working-level talks on Pyongyang's abduction of Japanese citizens. Japanese government sources say the talks could take place late this month, as Pyongyang is expected to set up a special panel to reinvestigate its abductions of Japanese citizens by then. The latest move is part of a deal in which Pyongyang will investigate the abductions in exchange for sanctions relief from Tokyo. Japan plans to call on North Korea to investigate the whereabouts of 77 missing Japanese for whom abduction cannot be excluded as a possibility, as well as 12 people who are officially recognized by Tokyo as abductees. Critics feel Japan is placing its relations with neighboring nations in jeopardy by pushing ahead with this controversial deal. 5 North Koreans were rescued from a sinking fishing boat in waters off the Dokdo Island last week. The South Korean Coast Guard discovered the fishing boat about 60 kilometers northeast of Dokdo on Friday morning and rescued all 5 crew members on board. According to an official from South Korea's Unification Ministry, the crew members, all men in their 20s to 40s, wish to return home to North Korea. That's quite a contrast to last month when 3 North Koreans were rescued from a similar predicament, with only 1 asking to be repatriated and 2 choosing to defect to the south. The 5 recently rescued crew members will be sent back through the neutral border village of Panmunjom on Monday. A U.S. aircraft carrier has moved into the Persian Gulf as insurgents continue to take more ground in Iraq. The strategic deployment comes after U.S. President Barack Obama said that there will be no American troops on the ground. Our Shin Se-min has more.
U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel ordered the USS George H.W. Bush to the Persian Gulf on Saturday in case Washington decides to pursue a military option as Iraqi insurgents tighten their grip on the country. The Pentagon said in a statement the order will provide the commander-in-chief additional flexibility should military options be required to protect American lives, citizens, and interests in Iraq. U.S. President Barack Obama said Friday, however, that American troops will not be sent back into combat in Iraq, adding that American military aid will not solve the sectarian differences that have disturbed the region.
Any action that we may take to provide assistance to Iraqi security forces has to be joined by a serious and sincere effort by Iraq's leaders to set aside sectarian differences, to promote stability, and account for the legitimate interests of all of Iraq's communities, and to continue to build the capacity of an effective security force.
The order came after militants of the Islamic State in Iraq and the Levant, or ISIL, took over Mosul, the second largest city in Iraq, on Tuesday, after seizing other key cities in the country. The group is working to establish an Islamist state that spans Iraq and Syria. Iraqi troops are fighting back with over 750,000 volunteer fighters. Iraqi officials have vowed severe punishments for deserting soldiers whom they blame for the fall of 2 key provincial capitals this week. Shin Se-min, ARIRANG News.
We move over to some sporting news in Brazil. Japanese superstar Keisuke Honda looked set to make his mark at the expense of Team Ivory Coast, but was eclipsed by another rising star. Didier Drogba, the heart and soul of the West African team, entered the match in the 62nd minute and forever changed the outcome of the game. Just 2 minutes after the striker's arrival, Wilfried Bony and Gervinho scored with headers 2 minutes apart, sealing Ivory Coast's fate with a 2-1 win over Japan. And in other games, Mario Balotelli, a man better known for his controversial antics than scoring goals, redeemed himself by fueling Team Italy's 2-1 win over England. England's only goal, courtesy of Daniel Sturridge, was neutralized by net scorchers from Balotelli and Claudio Marchisio. Colombia destroyed Greece 3-0. Costa Rica defeated Uruguay 3-1. A selection of clothing are catching the eyes of shoppers with their unique designs. These designs are from pictures drawn by students with autism. For their creativity and uniqueness, these clothing are receiving rave reviews. Our Paul Yi reports.
A selection of t-shirts at the supermarket grabbed the attention of a shopper. I'm here to buy clothes for my nephew. I'm going to buy him one of these t-shirts because the designs are unique and pretty.
These t-shirts have all been designed by students with autism. From zebra patterns to animals playing football, the shirts display the uniqueness and creativity of each student.
I feel the happiest when drawing. When I draw, I can see my future.
A social enterprise has joined hands with a local supermarket to use these pictures in clothing designs. They say the pictures are of high standard and are also marketable.
People with autism do face obstacles in society and communicating, but they have excellent visual abilities and concentration levels, so they're more likely to come up with creative designs.
Another factor that has contributed positively is a rise in so-called share-sumers, or consumers that share.
In this way, consumers can easily take part in sharing campaigns. I believe these types of campaigns will become a new social contribution model.
If the t-shirt sales turn out to be successful, the designs will be used in other products such as cups, umbrellas, and stationery. Paul Yi, ARIRANG News.
Well, it was a sunny Sunday here in Korea's capital, with the mercury hovering well above 27. Similar conditions are expected in most of the country for Monday, so remember to protect yourself from the UV rays. And now, let's look at the weather conditions elsewhere around the world. That's all from us for now. More updates at 10 p.m. Korea time, so join us back then. Thank you for watching.